So Nate and I'm Shandell, this is Nathan. We've worked together for just over a year, supporting each other in our separate companies, and it's gone so well that we decided to combine ourselves and create something new. So we're now Connections Ketamine and Healing. We did connections for connecting neurons, for connecting science and energy, for connecting science and spirit. So we're super excited to be here. I'll let Nate go first.
Okay, yeah, so just to introduce myself, my name is Nathan Unkefer. I've been in Utah for about 7 years. I was born and raised in Michigan. I did some of my training in Minneapolis. I was in New Mexico for 13 years. But I am a board-certified emergency room doctor. And I spent nearly 20 years in emergency rooms, working in trauma centers. I was at St. Mark's Hospital in Mill Creek for the 7 years before I made this change in my career into the psychedelic world and into the world of ketamine. In my personal life, I have 3 boys. I got twins that are 17 and an 11-year-old boy. I'm kind of the amateur sports photographer for all their teams. So there's one of my shots of one of my boys playing soccer. And then a fun fact about me is that before I moved here to Utah, I drove with the family in a camper van to the country of Panama, and we spent 9 months living on the beach and putting my boys into elementary school down there.
And I'm Shandell. I was born in San Diego, so California will always be my home. Sorry, Utah. I have 2 children. My daughter is 21. My son is 17. They're both going to be seniors, one in college, one in high school. So I've been a yoga instructor for 20 years. Fun fact about me, I was the first yoga instructor at the Daybreak Community Center when they first opened. I opened a yoga studio here in Daybreak also. And I've been doing energy healing for 14 years because in 2010 I found out I had cervical cancer, and it changed the trajectory of my life. I am an HSP, which is a highly sensitive person, and an empath, which means I'm super sensitive to energies around the space, and I also can actually feel what you're feeling, which is kind of a lot sometimes. My innate drivers are harmony, growth, and adventure. It's what I literally guide my life by. I love to be outside. You will always find me outside if I can be spending time with my kids, and then it's really important for me to stand up for people who can't. And I love any type of adventure. So, to answer everybody's question, yes, we are dating. Everybody asks us, and Rob outed us twice, right, when we first started here. And then I accidentally fed Nate a piece of chocolate in the middle of a meeting, and then we got questions about it. So, we realized about a month into working together that there was actually something more there, and then 4 months after that, we decided to go ahead and give it a try. And then almost a year later, we're just a month shy of a year being together. So, yay! I know, and we go meet Jamie, and she's like, "So when are you guys getting married?" I'm like, "She doesn't even know how long we've been dating." Like, that is so. Everybody asks us that. Yeah, it's.
I'm the cutest.
Okay, let's do it.
Noted. Next week. No, so mental health. So everybody struggles with mental health at some point in their life, whether it's something small or something big, but how we all grew up is that we don't talk about it. We keep it inside, we don't share it, makes you weak, any of those types of things, but what we're actually finding out is that it's actually really, really bad for us. And so it's important to find outlets to work through your mental health. And there are lots of ways now, right? Like TikTok is full of ways for you to work through your mental health. But we like to do it in the way of psychedelics.
Okay, so let's talk about ketamine really quick. It's an anesthetic that's been around since the 1950s. It's a different category than the typical anesthetics in that at a higher dose, it's a complete anesthetic. You're knocked out, you don't remember anything, you don't feel anything. But at lower doses, there is this window where you have a big psychedelic effect. So at a lower dose of ketamine, you have a psychedelic trip as intense as any mushrooms or acid or anything you've seen on TV, but you can really have this psychedelic effect with it. And about 20 years ago, they started realizing that people that would get ketamine for a procedure, a medical procedure, were reporting that they would feel really good afterwards. And so it started with this tiny little study. They took 7 people, they gave them ketamine, and they said, "What's your mental health like afterwards?" And they filled out the questionnaire, and all 7 of them said that they were significantly improved. And so all these studies kind of spurred off of that. And now, 20 years later, there's like over 700 peer-reviewed published studies showing the benefits of ketamine. And in the last 5 to 7 years, we're now finally getting down to what it's doing in your brain, which I could talk about for forever, but the short answer is that it stimulates your neurons to form new synapses, which is the connections between your neurons, and literally grows like new neural pathways that you can see by even MRI imaging of your brain. You can literally see these new neural pathways opening. And for whatever reason, like growing these new neural pathways, it gives you a different perspective on your emotions and on life in general, and it makes people feel better. And so we're still not totally understanding it all, but up to like 75% of the people that have ketamine report that they're improved from a mental health standpoint.
Then where I come in is through the energy healing. So energy healing is hard to explain, but it's really super easy to feel. We all know when we've walked in a room and there's like tension and tightness, or there's excitement and joy. But we all have energy centers in our body. So a lot of us have heard about our chakra system. If you've ever had acupuncture or acupressure, that is the meridian lines. And then we have our aura. Some people can see it, some people can't. But whenever we have any type of experience in our lives, it is actually held in the energy centers and in our bodies as a remembrance. And so if you've gone through a traumatic experience, it's held in your body, and it will show up as a repetitive cycle, a situation that happens over and over, and you're like, why can't I get through this? Or it will show up as dis-ease in the body. And so what I do in the sessions is I watch while you're kind of exploring the universe. I watch for the energy that is wanting to come to the surface but is stuck. And so I just support it in the process to help it feel safe, seen, so that you can process it. And then integration. So the experience of the ketamine is just one tiny 45 to 60 minute blip of your entire journey to healing. So we really think that it's important to do the integration afterwards and weave what you experienced into your everyday life. And I'll share just one example that I think is the funnest one for me to share of my own experience. I was in a ketamine journey, and all of a sudden I'm like, nothing matters. Like literally nothing matters. Like, is my son gonna come home in an hour? I don't know, does it even matter? Is he even my son? I have no idea. I'm like, money doesn't matter. Everyone thinks money matters, money doesn't matter. And I just went through like a whole list of like all these things. I'm like, none of it even matters. I'm sorry, but wait. And then all of a sudden I just, like, there was like blank, and then all of a sudden I was like, but all of this matters. Like all of it matters. But I'm the one that gives meaning to it all. Nobody else can give meaning to what matters but me. So I had this realization that I'm the one that gives meaning to everything. So I can decide how much money means to me, right? I can decide how much my son means to me and the fact that he's coming home in an hour. And I apply that to everything that I go through in life now. If I'm driving down the road and there's some person that's like driving crazy, I'm like, I get to decide if that actually matters to me. Right? And so we want to take those things and pull them into how you can actually live your life every day. I just got the 2-minute mark, so.
And in fact, this is why we're partnered up together, because I'm an emergency room doctor, right? I don't do like feelings. But you need me because ketamine can suppress your breathing and there can be complications. And so you need me to make sure your body is safe to get through the treatment. But it's Shandell who is supporting the emotional and the energetic side of it. And so I think that's what makes us such a great team. Okay, what can ketamine help? The answer is, we know it's regrowing connections and regrowing neurons, and so the answer is it might help a whole bunch of things, right? I mean, even the idea is whether it could be beneficial for any kind of neurodegenerative disorder like Alzheimer's and like whatever. But where the data comes in strongest is with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Those have the most studies behind it, and lesser studies behind supporting its treatment in OCD, in traumas, kind of PTSD, addiction, like substance abuse and chronic pain. So there's all these studies that are still ongoing, but in general, it's depression, anxiety, and PTSD are the big ones.
Okay, I'm going to claim like our extra seconds since we didn't do our presentation. Yeah. So what sets us apart is the setting. We really want to help create, for my part, I really want to help people create the right mindset, understand why you're wanting to do it, understand what it's doing to you, and understand how to use it to your benefit afterwards. And then with setting, you can talk about because Nate had a bad experience in.
Oh, so what got me into this is I read some data about some neurons growing, and I said, yeah, that sounds awesome. I should try it. I went to a clinic where I sat in a doctor's office. They gave me the medication. I was alone, didn't have any music, wasn't prepared for it, and I had a really bad trip, honestly. I saw a demon face. I heard somebody yelling, moaning, and I came to, and I was like, that's me, yelling, like moaning in this doctor's office. I didn't have any kind of support. And so that's what Shandell and I focus on, is getting your mindset right, doing the right setting so we come to your home. And then the support before, during, and after with Shandell at your side.
So we'll really quick just go through what a session actually looks like with us once we get to your home. You have a 20-minute phone call with both of us, medical evaluation and prep call before we get there. And then we just let you know how to create your own comfortable, safe environment. If your home is not one of those places, we have a place in my home that we have so you can come to us instead. But then I will take you through some breath awareness and meditation to help you get nice and calm and relaxed. Nate will do the injections. He does 2 different injections. And then I create a playlist that is specifically tailored to what we talked about your needs are. So I have different frequencies and hertz that will help you create balance there. And then I watch over you energetically. I will move energy. I write down a lot of intuitive notes or messages that come through. And then as you come out, I will take notes, anything that you want to share or express, and then we give you the space and time to come out at your own pace. So it's usually between 45 and 60 minutes that you're in the experience. Last night we were at a patient's home and she was in there for 75 minutes and we just waited because we don't want you guys to feel rushed. We're like, okay, yeah, let's go, right? Nobody wants that. So we want to try to make sure that you feel fully supported until it's over. So putting it all together, we've talked about that, I'll just skip it. So this is our new brand, new stuff. This is the QR code to our Instagram. Our website hopefully will be up by Friday. And that's it, thank you.